There's a place where desert meets empire, where oil and ideology run deeper than blood, where the heat does not merely rise from the sand. It rises from centuries of memory. The Middle East, ancient, restless, unyielding. For decades, two powers circle each other across that burning sky. One, a republic born of revolution, its fists raised against the West. The other, a superpower carrying the weight of its own contradictions. Between them, silence laced with threat, a Cold War within a Cold War. It began long before the first missile ever left its silo. In 1979, the Shah fell. The streets of Tehran flooded with fury. And America, which had kept that Shah in power, which had propped him against his own people, watched as 52 of its citizens were swallowed by those same streets. 444 days. Blindfolded. Hostage. A nation humiliated. Something cracked that could not be repaired. The decades that followed were not peace. They were a wound dress to look like peace. Sanctions tightened like a vice. Iranian proxies struck in shadows across Lebanon, Iraq, Yemen. American warships moved through the Strait of Hormuz, that slender throat through which the world's oil breathes. Each provocation answered with another. Each answer, the prelude to something larger. Then came the night that nearly rewrote everything. January 2020. A drone, a single strike. General Qasem Soleimani, the architect of Iran's regional power, the man who had moved armies without a uniform, was killed on the tarmac of Baghdad airport. Iran did not mourn in silence. Millions poured into the streets, a sea of blackened grief and rage. Tehran vowed a response that would, in their own words, shake the earth. And for 72 hours, the world held its breath. Missiles struck American bases in Iraq. Fire lit the desert sky. The threshold between conflict and catastrophe had never been thinner. A single miscalculation, a single order misread in the dark, and the Middle East could have collapsed into a war that consumed everything. It did not. But something shifted irreversibly. The region's fault lines deepened. Allies recalculated. The architecture of deterrence, that fragile structure built over decades of negotiation and threat, revealed exactly how close to ruin it had always been. What remained was not resolution. It was exhaustion wearing the mask of stillness. And here is what history whispers in the silence after the fire. Nations do not go to war only with weapons. They go to war with memory, with pride wounded so deeply it calcifies into doctrine, with the stories they tell themselves about who they are and who the other has always been. America and Iran, two civilizations, two wounds, still watching each other across that ancient, burning sky. The question the world still carries, quietly, heavily, is not whether the conflict will return. It is whether humanity, in its accumulated wisdom, will ever choose a different answer than the one it has always given. Some conflicts are not solved. They are inherited. And what we inherit, we must one day choose to carry, or finally, carefully, set down.